Good evening. Hello to everybody. I'm Cecilia Messina from the Career Service team of Domus Academy. And here today with me, there is Paolo Lorini, a lecturer of Domus Academy. He teaches and he's in Domus Academy for many years, teaching, attending workshop lectures. And we had the big pleasure to have here with us today Francisco Gomez Paz, that is our Domus Academy alumni, and he's a super brilliant industrial designer. And today with us, Paolo will have the chance to interview him in a big, let's say, and pleasant conversation to tell you, to tell us something about him that we didn't know yet, maybe. And just to let you know, this is one of our Connecting the Dots webinar. This is one of the webinars we are organizing as a team, as a career service team, to share the experiences and stories of our alumni. Paolo, I would like to leave the word to you. Thank you again, Francisco, for joining us, for being here with us this evening, and I hope that everybody will join the webinar. In case you have any question or doubts at the end of the interview, we can then have a chat, and feel free to ask any questions you have. Paolo, I leave the word to you.
Okay, thank you, Cecilia, and thank you, Francisco, for being with us. It's a real pleasure to have such a good friend of you joining us in this conversation. I think this is the cherry on the cake of this series of webinars, and we are here with you. Welcome.
Thank you, Paolo. It's a pleasure for me to be here. Thank you for your patience, because I know you did a lot to make this possible. You have a lot of patience, because it was a very difficult moment for me, full of different small complications, fortunately work complications to do. So I'm very happy to be here. Let's chat together about this design and these 20 years or more that I've been here in Italy and so on.
Fantastic. For those of you who don't know Francisco yet, I will read just a few lines about him. Francisco, you are born in Salta, Argentina. You once explained me where it is. It's in very north of Argentina, very wild area of Argentina. And after obtaining the industrial degree at the Universidad Nacional de Córdoba, I hope I
great Spanish.
Gracias. You moved to Milan in 1998, where you attended the Master in Design at Domus Academy, and then worked with Alberto Meda and also Paolo Rizzato. You opened your office in Milan in 2004, and since then you have developed a lot of products for leading companies such as Artemide, Driade, Danese, Landscape Forms, Lenswelt, Luceplan, Olivetti, and Sector, among several others. And in 2014, so 10 years later, you decided to also open another studio and workshop in Argentina. That's what we were talking about just before we started our conversation. And since then, you live in this unbalanced balance between Salta and Milan. You have you've been awarded with many international recognitions, among which the very last one, just a few months ago, maybe a couple of months ago, was your second very prestigious award, Compasso d'Oro, for the chair Utopia. So congratulations for that. We published this news on our website, on our social, and I was personally really happy when I got this news. You are also active in the field of research and education. You are visiting professor at Domus Academy, Politecnico di Milano, and you have held lectures in Italy and abroad. Francisco, I'd like to begin our conversation by inviting you to think back on the educational path which brought you where you are today. Of course, we are in the Domus Academy context, so you hold a master degree in design at Domus Academy, which you achieved more than 20 years ago, maybe in 1999.
Yes, was yes, 1999.
Yeah. So what made you decide to enroll in Domus and instead of any other school? So which was the spark that brought you to Milan?
Let's explain that years, because it was not like now. No, it was very difficult to have information at that moment. I mean, and imagine that I was living in Argentina, and that was make everything more complex. So when you were in places that were far away from the let's say the center of the world, to get information was quite difficult. So I get information about, because with magazines, some magazines that used to arrive, I remember having like 2 or 3 Domus magazines and things like that I bought it because they were very expensive, and I remember finding this book that I love it, that was The Matter of Invention. I think it was edited by Experimenta magazine in Spanish. It was written by, yes, it was Ezio Mancini book, and I love it. That book somehow expressed a lot my idea about design. And Ezio Mancini used to be in the past, many years ago, part of or director of Domus Academy. And that was the reason that I decided, okay, let's go to Italy, no? Because I have no idea about, of course, I know that Italy, I study many of the Italian designers. I learn a lot about Italian design, but I never have the full comprehension about what was about Milan. So it was like a lottery. And I look for Domus, I send a mail, they give me a small scholarship, and then I moved to Italy. It was like that, yeah.
Fantastic.
I was looking to other places too, no? To United States, to our center in Pasadena, to London, and somehow this following this book made me arrive here, yeah.
So you follow the book. Okay.
I follow a book, yeah. So
okay.
Sounds weird today, but it was like that. Yeah.
Fantastic. And what, I mean, was that your first time in Italy?
Yeah, absolutely. It was my first time in Europe. Yeah.
Wow, fantastic. Yeah. And what did you discover when you got here?
Well, first a lot of cold because
which month you came?
I was November. I was in November here. November '98. I arrived to Stazione Centrale, no, through Malpensa, and was really cold and foggy.
Yeah.
So my first impression with Milan was not that good, because that year Milan was like is now. Now Milan is much more open, much more modern, much more international. That time Milan was a very closed city. So my first impression with Milan was tough.
Okay.
It was even very difficult to find an apartment. It was not that easy that time. So.
And then what happened?
And then what happened? A lot of things happens. But then I studied my master. I started my master in Domus, and it was a great experience in many things, because first of all, I have there were other students from many countries, from many different countries, and for me that already was mind blowing. No, imagine in South America we mainly speak Spanish, only Brazil speak Portuguese, so we are somehow very similar, very similar. We have small differences, but not that many. So for me was hello. Yes, for me was like a cultural experience at the beginning, trying to learning from different cultures. Was very difficult for me, the language. My English still bad, but at that moment was terrible. my Italian was inexistent, so it was very difficult. So I remember trying a lot to express myself, express my ideas to different cultures, and I have these memories of this very this moment full of energy, trying to do this thing that's all love now, that was design and this and chatting and discussing together. It was very, very nice year. That was the time where Domus was in Via Savona.
Yeah, I remember that.
Very near where I still live in, have my house now.
Yeah.
And I think was one of the best moments of Domus ever. There were a lot of Latin American students. Oh my God. I think that's a terrible photo. I give it to you, so it's my fault. And was very nice. Other thing that happened that time for me in Domus was to allow me to discuss somehow. I was very certain about what I believe about design. I have a lot of beliefs, strong beliefs. And when I arrived to Domus, was an opportunity to me to discuss about that, no? Because there were people from, I insist, from Turkey, I see Thailand, Switzerland guy. There were many friends, and they are still friends of me now. And they have completely different ideas about design. And that was very useful, because somehow it's like going into the stomach of the whale, no, like Pinocchio, and discovering and destroying everything what you believe and rebuilding your own identity. I think that was something that happened to me in that period, and somehow was a proof. If I can still think in the way that I thought before, I don't know I can express that in the right way, but for me was very interesting period of my life.
Okay, excellent. So
and I explain. I have a lot of friends from that moment. I can see there Fabricio from Brazil, Rodrigo Torres from Colombia.
Is here, yes. We had him in this series of webinars. It was among the first.
Yeah, they're brothers. No, they're not friends. They're brothers.
In
that moment in Domus, we used to sleep in the floor at night because we were doing our work. We're working in our projects. It was like a family. It was very small, and it was like a family. Fantastic.
Here I see Andrea Branzi.
Andrea Branzi, yes.
So yes. My next question for you would be something like, do you still remember the courses that you did when you were at Domus? Was there something that was very meaningful to you and that made you think in a very different way about design?
There are things that I remember very well. And you speak about Andrea, and he is a very, very smart person, but his idea of design is maybe different with what I have. So what I say that was a way to somehow test what I believe. That was a very big test, because I remember all that group at the last picture. No. It was the master, the final project with the one with Andrea. That was the
final presentation.
The final presentation was in a thesis. The thesis, let's say, of the seminar was for a car, and I fight a lot for my idea, but a lot, and Andrea really didn't like it. So I have these amazing memories, because I was fighting a lot to do that idea that I believe a lot, and was very interesting to be able to discuss with these amazing minds, no, that and with these amazing personalities like Andrea Branzi, even if my language was not good. But the funny thing is what happened after that, because I fought a lot with him to be able to do my project. He didn't like it at all. But then that project helped me a lot in the future, that maybe you will show something about.
Yeah. I guess you're talking about this.
Yes, you are talking about this. Yes, because these are these kind of weird things that happen in the life, no? And somehow in the last project of that year, they asked us to design a car. I never designed a car, And I found out this idea, no? I'd say in a city like Milan or in European cities that you need to move in the city is perfect, a motorcycle, you know? I mean, it's no way that you can use a car in a city like this. So, but then if you're a couple, if you have a family, you need to do things like going to the supermarket, transporting your kids or so on. So I invent this kind of car that was two motorcycles, electric motorcycles, that connect with the system that I invent in the bottom part, and then they have these doors that can flip and go to one part to another one. And that was my thesis, and I fight a lot for that project.
I see.
And was fantastic. The thing that was fantastic that they are tutors too in Domus, no? And my tutor was Pascal Tarabay. You remember Pascal?
Yeah, of course, I know.
And yes, and Pascal was the only one. He's really believed in this project, and he pushed me to do it. And then I did it. And then with this project, I win the very important award. That was the Bmw International Award. This thing that happened in life. After a few months, they proposed this theme for international award for inventing a car for the future wave of mobility.
Yes.
So I presented this project and I won.
Fantastic.
And that was a crazy thing that happened because I was so young, and I find myself like giving interviews and from one day to another one, no, and going in journals. 24. From one day to the other one, going to the BMW, sending tickets to go to a board meeting to present my project. I couldn't say even hello. I was completely shocked. Yes.
I'm sure now is a little bit different. So this was the project that kept you in Milan, that made you stay in Milan. Probably.
Yes, because it was like that. Because I'm Argentinian. At that moment I don't have double nationality, so I need to have permesso di soggiorno, all that things to stay here. And when they asked me to the permesso di soggiorno, I didn't have all the papers that I need. No? So I remember doing a very Argentinian things. I bring the rassegna stampa. How you say that in English?
Press
release of this contest that was huge because it was like a book like this, no? And I gave them this thing, hoping that they will at least wait a little bit until I find all other papers.
Yeah.
You know, Italy is very bureaucratic somehow.
Yeah, absolutely. So you went to the police station with the press release.
Yes, I give it them, and then hoping that they didn't call me and say, "What? Come here and give what we asked to you." So they called me. Okay, the permesso di soggiorno is ready for you. They were smiling to me. I was shocked, and they gave me the permesso di soggiorno at that moment because of
fantastic.
This thing. Yes.
What did you do then while staying in Milan? How did your career evolve? Which were your first steps?
They happened different things at that moment. The director of Domus was a very good friend that is Dante Donegani.
Yeah.
And he proposed me to the studio of Paolo Rizzato. He was asking him for many years someone to work with him, and Paolo have a way to see in design quite similar to what I have, or I have a way of looking design very similar to what he have, and that was a very positive connection, a very positive situation because he was working alone all his life. He worked a lot with Alberto Meda.
Yeah. He's with us tonight.
But as partners, not as partners. Sorry.
Alberto is with us tonight. Thank you, Mr. Meda, for being with us.
Is he? Is there?
Yeah, looks like.
Oh, great. Yes. So was fantastic. I have the opportunity to see them working.
Yeah.
and for me was great. I will never forget this. The first time I see them working together, like two friends chatting and discussing about design, and this is a good idea, and that could be, was so playful. So in the same way that somehow I dreamed to do my job, and I really understand what they were doing, and I remember like it very emotive at that moment. Because I understand that it was possible to do design in that way, you know? And, I was very lucky with that.
Good. Francisco, I know you since 20 years now, and on your website, I think you wrote a sentence that really, in my opinion, summarizes really well who you are, the way I know you at least, and the way you work. Let me go through it. Francisco's approach to design is driven by his own curiosity, the knowledge of technology and materials, and the highly experimental, hands-on creative process. I think this, you wrote it right, because it really summarizes well who you are and your approach. And I would like to, we have prepared basically some examples of this. And I would like to ask you to tell us a little bit about this project. So these were among the first projects you did. I don't think we have so much time to go through all of them, but maybe we can focus on the 2 or 3 which are super important to you. One of them, one of them.
Always happen.
No, don't worry. I was clicking in the wrong place. One of them is a lamp. Now, everybody might be wondering if you designed this lamp. Of course,
absolutely not.
But this was the beginning.
Don't leave the chat.
This was the beginning of your reasoning around the lamp. So, can you disclose a little bit more which was the brief in this case?
Yes. I will. Let's say I met Alessandro Sarfatti. Alessandro Sarfatti was the son of the founder of Luceplan, and he asked me to design a chandelier. A chandelier. Let me do some small introduction about this, because Luceplan is a very well-known Italian firm, but is famous in the history, if I can say like this, because they were really, with many of the projects designed by Alberto and Paolo, they managed to somehow to mix this beauty, but an intelligent beauty. It was not only beautiful, it was really intelligent and beauty.
Yeah.
And then somehow that poesy was coming through some technical innovations and technical details and ideas. And a chandelier is not technical at all. No, it's a very decorative object. So somehow was very far away from that company. So it was a very difficult project that Alessandro asked to design. No. But somehow the curiosity, as you say, bring me one solution. No, that I'm always curious, and that is something that I try to somehow to encourage all the students. The curiosity is the source of mainly all creativity. Don't feel afraid to lose your time trying to understand something that give you curiosity. No. I think Carl Jung used to say that curiosity can possess you, no, and it's something that is somehow not you, no. The curiosity possesses you, and it's
a monster.
It's a kind of interesting monster because show you something. It's trying to show you something. So few years ago, few years before that I have that brief, I was in a party with friends, Paula, maybe you know, the friends from Domus. Paula and Giovanni, And they have in the house a cushion that was Fresnel lenses applied to a PVC.
Okay.
So it was a cushion, an inflatable cushion, was very, 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 very light, but it was like a piece of glass. And I guess shocked about that. I said, what is that? How can be so light and look like a glass? And I learned that was the Fresnel lens. So then I start to understand how a Fresnel lens works. So that curiosity helps you to get information. No? So then you absorb the information, you understand it. When you understand something, that thing is yours. It's yours. It's inside of your brain. And then you can use it in different ways depending the situation. So in this case, was perfect because I said, what if I can take the typology of light that the chandelier produced, that is a very playful light, full of reflections, usually produced with many candles or with small bulbs and reflection of glass. And I transformed the heavy weight of the glass, the difficulties of a chandelier to be holding very strong ceilings and the cost of production and so on, with very thin foils of plastic with the Fresnel lens pressed on it. And that was the starting point of this process that took like 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
2 years, 3 years.
Mm-hmm. And then the problem was how to support.
That was because that is an idea, and then it's a pity because I used to have a small prototype somewhere where the first prototype, because the first prototype was terrible. It was like a small ball of different Fresnel put it surrounding my cellular phone or a bulb, a small bulb. So I start to understand how this thing can place in the space to completely cover the bulb, because if you leave a space open, you will see the bulb and all the magic falls apart. But if I manage to cover everything with these foils of Fresnels, at the end, I see this big ball of glass that spread the light in the space without glaring and with this playful light. And that was the starting point. And we start at that moment. For me, it was very important to do it with Paolo Rizzato. I asked him to do it together. And was a great experience for me to work with a person that I used to work for, but to work as colleagues, and that was very generous for Paolo to work like this anyway with me. So it was very nice, and we finished developing this series of this was a system of many different types of lamps. And here we are showing one of the first prototypes.
Early prototypes.
Early prototypes. I always.
I've heard you telling this story other times, and you always mention that this was an inflection point.
Yes.
Can you explain what you mean by that? Because it is very educational for our students as well. Projects are not linear, no? It's not the case that you start from a point, you know where you have to go, and you take the shortest road to the destination. Projects go and come and go and come, and you turn, and then there is some moment where something.
Yes, unfortunately, it's not my case. I always working a lot to arrive to the solution, no? And that is sometimes difficult to find out the right company that is that want to do this process. That is not a linear process. It's a heuristic process. No, it's a process of fails and errors, and continue standing up again and trying to find out. Let's say you have an intuition and you are following it somehow. And I have this idea of a very light ball of glass that that plays with the light in a very playful way. And because of the decision that we were taking to be able to produce it, because it's very important, this relation with the technology, for me, it's very important to be um, very in deep the process of production of the object, because you need to work together with the engineers that are in the company, or if you don't have engineers alone, finding out the solutions. Because the design is not a capriccio. It's not, how you say capriccio in English. It's not like I want it like this, no? Because they say I design like this. Many times you cannot do it in one way, and you need to change it. And because of the technology, we arrived to this situation. The situation was that because we produce with injection molding, we need to do small Fresnel lenses. We cannot produce big ones. So we decide to do like a pattern of Fresnel lenses that at the beginning, the idea seems quite interesting, but the result was this one. And I didn't believe on it. I was not convinced.
You didn't like it. You didn't like it, basically.
Some part of my soul was saying no.
This is not what I want to do. This is not what I want.
Yes, it's difficult then to understand why you feel different things. No, in that moment I really was not liking this point. Was the 2008? There was Lehman Brothers crisis. Luce decided to present only this project for the Salone. The Luce was the dream of my life. I met Luce in a visit in Domus Academy, and I remember going back to my house and telling it was my girlfriend, then it became my wife. I have a dream. One day I want to work with this company. No, I really love what they were doing. And I was in this situation. What I do? I accept this because my dream company will produce it because they want to produce it, or I try to change everything.
Of course, you chose the second.
I chose the second. And
what did you do?
And maybe it was one of the greatest decisions I took in my life in that moment. I decided to change completely the technology, going back to Fresnel lenses that were not injected in mold injected. They were press mold in open mold in the same way that vinyl lenses are produced. I find out some Fresnel lenses. I mill it with my CNC machine. I already have a CNC machines. I bought it really many years ago.
Okay.
And that was a completely change everything in the project.
I can see from your face
solve like
here.
Hundreds of different problems.
I can see from your face here that you were happier in this.
Yeah, I'm much happier. Yeah. The Fresnel lenses, solve many problems because the other pieces were injected and they were big and rigid and one piece. This one is everything you can mount it in. So the flat surface you can transport it in flat. You can see there, and then you have a strong internal structure that hold everything in the space, and then that changed everything. The packaging was simple, easier. The cost of investment at the beginning was almost 200,000 euros. Then was like 220. Everything changed. You know, that's idea that's like magically solve many problems and.
Yes.
And then we were very happy, and the amazing thing that it is very Italian. The owner of the company, they say there is not many things to do because Riccardo Sarfati, he said there were not many things to discuss here. The idea is this one. Let's follow this change. So yes. Was very nice.
Fantastic story. And then you were awarded the Compasso d'Oro. This was your first Compasso d'Oro in 2011, right?
Yes. This project gave me a lot of satisfaction, huge satisfaction. They win a lot of awards, like a Red Dot Award, a Compasso d'Oro, il premio dei premi che was given by the Presidente della Repubblica, Giorgio Napolitano, yes.
Okay.
We were later Quirinale, like a White House, Italian White House, something like that, no?
Fortunately, you didn't meet Trump, the Italian Trump. You met,
No. That was Giorgio Napolitano. Was very serious one.
Yeah.
So and then at the end was a very good selling object. That is something that is very important, and then because you're not doing projects for magazines, so you're not doing projects to other designers to say to you that you are good or not.
Yeah.
How is
that important to you? How do you think okay, of course, beside the money you make, but do you value the commercial success of a project? So meaning when a project sells well, that makes you satisfied, and why?
Of course. It's very weird hearing many designers that say that they don't care, or even musicians that say they don't care about if they have the acceptance of the public. I think if you think money like a bad thing, you can be disgusted about it. But I think the money is the way that human beings understand how you can exchange value. No,
right.
So I not earning money. I'm exchanging value with a person that to have that value, they give time. So when someone buys something that I design, they are giving me the time they need to generate that value. So in somehow is the acceptance of your piece. Is your piece is saying, okay, we find value what you are giving to us.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate when you manage, that is not easy, to succeed in this very difficult equilibrium of putting everything inside of a project that then could be the right price, very easy to produce, beautiful,
yeah. Clear,
and
clear,
somehow
so
have the acceptance of your peers, of the other human beings.
Yeah, and that makes you proud. It looks like you have a thing for lamps because you designed a lot of them.
It's not like that. I mean, sometimes life take you in some directions or not in others. And there two things happens. After Hope, that was a very successful product, my relation with Luceplan grows a lot. And a relation with Alessandro Sarfatti, that was the CEO of Luceplan. And that gave me an opportunity to start to experimentate with light. And light was changing, was a time of change, because it was going through the big change of the LED. And because I love the frontiers of the technology, the frontiers of what is known, was an opportunity to me to research, to try new frontiers and to imagine new scenarios. And that was very fun. And then because I don't do many projects by year, I was doing other lamps for many years. And sorry, and another thing is because my way of working is not that easy, so it's not that all the companies understand that they will give like 2 years of time to a project, and Luceplan understand that process. Luceplan, Alessandro understand that process at the end bring to result, that works, and with that fiducia, trust, with that trust was everything much more easy.
Yeah. This is something which is really interesting. So many times we see designers or phenomenons, objects that look like they come out of nowhere, and maybe they are a hit for a season, and then they are forgotten. While you tend to do quite the opposite. You want to take your time to think about what is the right thing to do in that moment with that technology, the goal that you want to achieve, and then you tend to design long-lasting objects, so objects that remain, that stay in the catalogs of companies for a long time. This is also another important element of your philosophy, right?
Let's say maybe I don't know how to do in a different way. If you ask me, design is something very. I don't have the mechanism to do it. Even many times they invite me to do these things. No, I cannot do it. I'm saying I cannot. It's not the way that I work. Then hopefully that thing happens. That if you manage somehow to introduce a little bit of novelty, of a little bit of innovation, in the right way, then that object tends to
last longer,
to stay a little bit. to last longer.
Okay.
That's the only way that you can understand how the IMS chair is still more solid in the earth.
Yeah, absolutely.
That guy put a lot of innovation there, and break. This is a beautiful phrase of Rolf Felbaum. Say, classic became a classic if someone break the mold, and when the mold is broken, the mold, like how we interpret something, we understand something, then that things remains there until someone breaks the mold again, and that is difficult to break the mold, but maybe you can break a small piece of something, and that generates somehow a very strong energy. Yeah.
And for sure, you broke the mold when you designed this other lamp, which I'm really interested in. Time flies. Unfortunately, I would stay forever to listen to you, but we have, you know, that we have some time limitations. But this image that you share with us and that you wanted to put at the beginning of this project is really interesting. So can you explain a little bit?
Yes, and then I will continue with my things about light, because LED was changing the way we understand lighting.
Yeah.
But somehow the human being have like very difficulty to get to leave far away the memories that they have. So many of the lamps that were appearing that years still remaining with the shapes of lamps without LEDs. With all the technical solutions that you need to develop a lamp light that were coming from the incandescent bulbs or other types of bulbs. So then many projects were like putting all the LEDs together and then using the same analogies like covering or projecting with a projector and so on. So from my very beginning, when I started to design LED lights, I tried to take the advantage to spread this small dot in the space, to spread it. And here that was the end of this research, this lamp that was called Mesh. I put 133 dots in using Fibonacci curves. That is the way that you better can dispose the things in the space. So I broke, let's say, the bulb, and I put it in the way that nature put it, surrounding a circular shape. At the same time, we put everything in a coordinate system of, like in a sphere coordinate system of positive and negative. This thing allowed me to turn on and off independently each of the dots of the mesh. So let's say they happen many ideas coming here together, but
sure.
But here was the possibility to maybe for first time a lamp that was is impossible to give light in different directions without any mechanical system. So there was an electronic component in the upper part that turned on and off the positive and negative, and in that way be able to generate light from one direction, other direction, up, down. So if you are in front of the television and you don't want to have the glare of the lamp in the television or in your computer, you just give indirect light. Or if you are eating, you want a direct light, you put it down. And this everything is working with a cellular phone that you can with an app. So it's maybe one of the in our world, one of the first intelligent lamps, that can be connected, smart device. And there, you asked me, what did you learn in Domus? In that time in Domus, we speak a lot about the world that then arrived after that. A lot about.
You spent a lot of time envisioning the future.
Envision futures about internet at that moment. Intelligent objects and things that were really at the beginning. Okay, and at the end, for me, it's always an opportunity to imagine new languages, new languages that have the justification of where they are coming. It's not languages that is coming in my mind because I invent the shape. The shape have a lot of meaning because it's coming with the process of how I'm doing. So this network of cables, that is a special cable that we developed for this lamp. The cable have the structure inside. You have like harmonic steel inside that push everything to outside. So the shape of the lamp that you see like it's a normal cable is not. The structure is inside of the cable that is pushing everything outside, so you can have this spheric shape. So the shape is completely explained through the process. And that is something that I'm always trying to, and that is it's a way that I imagine shapes. I cannot imagine shapes in a different way.
Yeah, that's a very common trait of most of your objects, that what you design when it's realized, when it's produced, when it hits the market, it looks very natural. And by looking natural, it's and by looking natural, it looks like it's like simple in a way. So but simplicity, of course, is super complex to achieve. So I made there to ask you, we didn't talk about this before, but what is your relationship with simplicity?
Oh my gosh, I'm not a simple person in not any way. I really admire simplicity, and I look for it. And if you are saying to me that my object looks simple, is the best you can say to me, because it's something that I fight a lot to be able to do, because I have a way of thinking very, very complex, and I'm always trying to do it simpler and easier.
They look naturally simple. They look naturally simple. So a simplicity that you can find in nature.
It's a big compliment you're giving to me now with that, because I'm always thinking the opposite. I'm always thinking that I'm not that much simple as I would like to be.
But if you look at this lamp, you can see that there is, all of these curves are very natural. The shape is the shape of a drop, and the way it flows and it floats in the space.
I always trying to take any kind of shape that is only my volume T, just for a capriccio. There must be a meaning that drive that shape always. Maybe it's the only way that I know how to do a shape. Otherwise, I really feel like I'm losing the space.
And this brings us to the shape of this chair. There are so many chairs in the world. Someone says there are more butts than chairs. No, there are more chairs. There are more chairs than butts. There are more chairs than butts. But you were able to come up with a chair which looks new, which looks innovative, at the same time looks very simple in a way and natural. Can you tell us the story of this chair and how you came up with this idea?
Thank you. I don't know if it's new or it's not new, but let's say Utopia start from different starting points that you can see. It's difficult to understand which is exactly starting point. One was politics. No.
Yeah.
Argentina was changing government, and after many years of corruption, I have the dream, like many other Argentinians, that maybe Argentina will start to change. So I decided to do something.
They should elect you as president.
Sorry?
They should elect you as president.
No, I cannot do that work, my friend.
Okay, it's better that you stay a mentor and designer. We need you more.
I completely abandon any energy about politics after this.
I can imagine. Okay.
So there I decided to do something positive. The only thing I know how to do is design, and I'm not not a businessman. I'm not a politician. I'm a designer. So I say, I will, and that moment that the president say, they were speaking about an idea that for me was very important, no? The importance of the individual, no? Any person has their own responsibility. And that is the greatest idea of the whole history of humanity. I mean, when human beings understand that somehow have a responsibility, and everybody do a small part, no? Me as a designer, the doctor as a doctor, everybody in the best way they can do it, maybe we will have a better world, no?
Sure.
So I decided at that moment to do a design in Argentina, in a laboratory, in my workshop. I have this very nice workshop in Argentina.
So it's a self-production. You don't have a company.
Yeah,
there is
no company. No company. So in Salta, it's very difficult to find it because here in the north of Italy, we have a very
best furniture company in the world in Brianza.
Yes, the best furniture company in the world, and a big network of small companies that are very good doing different things. So this project could be a little bit meaningless. This starting point meaninless here, not in Argentina, in the north where there are not companies. So I say I will try to do an object using the fourth industrial revolution, using CNC, 3D printer, laser cutting machines in a zone where the industry never arrived in the right way, and trying to do design in that situation and see if I can do something with value in that context. No, and the project started like that, really.
Okay, so it started from almost a social or political intuition, from
political, a technical moment, because at that moment I say, okay, I never designed a chair before, so I say I want to do a chair. I find a nice opportunity because I say I like the borders of the knowledge, no, and let's say the movement, the maker movement that now is called maker. When I start using these machines, were not even the word. That machines and make me imagine a big potentiality. So the connection of this desire made me decide to start to work with this machine. I produce everything in my workshop in Argentina.
Which
is done with
which essence of wood is this? Which kind of wood is this?
This wood is Paulonia. It's a very Paulonia or Kiri. It's a very light wood.
Okay.
They say it's a tree that I want to use tree for a station tree. How you say it? Plant trees that are
planted tree.
Planted trees.
So you don't want to destroy the forest, basically.
My forest. So there are not many in Argentina. One was about this tree, so I use this tree. It's a very light wood, a tree that grows very, very fast. It's one of the strongest
growth rate
trees, and that's allowed me to do a very light chair. It's one of the lightest chairs in the earth.
I can see
wooden chairs. Sorry, complete wooden chairs. No, it's 1,800 grams. It's
less than 2 kilograms. Less than 2 kilograms. And so actually you have two different structural elements, right? You have one which is the laser cut.
Right. You have the structural parts is like 4 planes of laser cut plywood.
And then you have
that if you take it alone, you can break it with your hands.
Yeah.
Then I put these very light goods that connect everything together and make all works together like in a structure that is almost magic. If you have all the pieces spared, you feel like you can break it like with your hands.
Yeah, sure.
If you put all together, it becomes so stiff, it's so strong. I even did a test of
some tests,
crash tests with a machine that I invented in my workshop. Yes, like 22,000 cycles with 100 kilos on it, pushing it, and so on.
Okay.
Yes. This is a big satisfaction because at the end we managed to design this chair there. We start to present it here in the Milan fair, was very, very lucky with this project. Gave me a lot of satisfactions in different ways.
It's a fantastic project. Actually, I really admire you. I had the chance to see it live for the first time at the Compasso exhibition a couple of months ago. And I actually texted you to congratulate on this. It was amazing to pick it up and also to think, I mean, how did you calculate the structural, let's say, strength of it to make it stand the weight?
Test and error, my friend. You test and error.
Test and error. Okay.
Yes. I'm not scientific at all, but let's say intuition, test and error. Even when I designed that machine because I was to test if it will break, because I was afraid that could break, because it was so light that I was afraid that could break easily. So test and error.
Okay, and you assemble it without any screws, am I right?
They are not screws at all. Not screws. It's everything.
What is this then? It's like a piece of wood that goes.
That's a piece of wood. That is the piece of wood that finish closing everything. When you put that thing, press everything in these ways, and everything is glued. And it's like a Japanese connections.
Wow.
Everything have like a logic of connection.
So
there are a lot of work in the connections.
Goes in these holes, and there are some other holes in the surfaces.
Yes.
Where you put it in. Okay, yes. So they are.
Everything is produced with CNC and the holes. I have molds with 3D printed, and so everything is like industrial production. All the pieces are exactly the same, even if it's produced with a small studio, a small office in the middle of in the north of Argentina.
And now you can scale it up if you want, because everything works perfectly and you just need to.
I don't know if I want to. It's very nice to be able to produce, let's say, 30, 20 by a month in my studio, and because it was an opportunity even to find out a new way of selling. We are selling directly. We don't have directly.
So
we don't using normal. We escape the distribution. So in that way, the product would be possible to buy. It's an expensive one, but it's possible to buy. Otherwise, it's completely expensive. I mean, if you go normal channels of distribution, you need to multiply by 2.
Minimum.
So so it was an opportunity even to see how it could work. The direct contact with a client. It was like an experiment that at the end gave me a lot of possibility.
You also changed the business model in a way, not just
like putting myself out of the zone of comfort. A lot. Because in the other project I designed, and that thing is completely
in the hands of the company.
The hands of the company. Here, the communication, the videos, the communication, everything was going somehow through me. So that was very interesting too.
Excellent experience. And with this chair, you were awarded again a second Compasso d'Oro again this year. So once again, I would like to congratulate with you. You really deserve this one.
It's a big.
And I would like to cheer with you for the Compasso d'Oro.
Okay, here we promise we have beer.
Yes.
Cheers.
I think we should.
Cheers.
Congratulations.
Gracias. It was a big happiness, but you need to understand the big happiness is because at the end I can show even for my country, I can show even for South America, because you cannot imagine the frustration that a person that loves design have when they don't have the opportunity to do their own things. So, but the time is changing, and technology helps to give freedom to the creativity. So I imagine a future with many good things appear in different parts of the world, not necessarily everything concentrated in the center of production in the world.
I see.
And this is an example of that. And and that's why I'm really happy, because it's like it's bigger than me. It's showing a possibility, and that's good. That's very nice.
Yeah, bravissimo, Francisco. Time has flown away incredibly fast. It was so magic to listen to you. We have a question from one of our attendees. Do you want me to go through it and then maybe?
Yes. I love question. How long we have? This thing is closing after.
We are done. We are done actually in 2, 1. Okay, we are done. So officially we need to close the conversation now. But as far as there are questions and as far as Cecilia is okay with us, we can go on a little.
Yes, sure. Yes, Francisco was really, let's say, I don't know, I have no words to say, but because your story was so interesting and impressive, I guess also for all our students and alumni that are listening to us. I would like to leave the word to our students and the participants to ask you any questions.
I will love to. I would love. Always a question is an opportunity to think different things. So.
Fantastic. I will start reading the first one, which comes from Soraya Bastalic. Thank you, Soraya, for typing in your long question. I'll try to summarize it for Francisco. How did for you the situation with COVID change your point of view and inspiration on industrial design? So this is the COVID-19 question that you can never escape that.
But you know, it's weird because mainly have not changed the way I see the things. Because I hope I hope that this situation make us understand things, no? Because it's a moment of suffering. No, we are suffering. We don't have the same freedom, and at least I hope that this allowed us to understand and to be a little bit more thankful about what we have. I mean, I do believe that we are like these kids that have everything.
Yeah.
So they have everything, so they don't realize what they have. We would really love to go back to the 19, no?
Childhood.
Yeah, 1 year ago. But we were
last year, yes.
Yeah, so like we're complaining all the time about everything, and I try always to work a lot on this consapevolezza, this awareness about what we have, what we as human beings have been done. If you see art, if you see music, if you see the system, it's so complex to be all together here speaking with the telecameras. There are huge amounts of amazing ideas of a lot of human beings to allow us to live like this. So we have a responsibility. That is what I see. We have a responsibility to be part of that, to give something back.
Yeah.
And I hope that this moment of suffering allowed us to understand this, that we are not gods. We have limits. With the limits, somehow we go through because of the effort of many human beings working together. And if in that way, maybe with more understanding, maybe we start to protect the things we were doing, or correct the things we are doing bad, no? And correct the damage that we're doing to our natural system. There are a lot of things that we can do better. So that is what I hope that this COVID will give to us: awareness and thankfulness. You say like that in English? Yes.
Yes, correct. Perfect.
Okay.
Thankfulness.
It will be great if that that is the result of this year
situation. Yeah, sure. Thank you, Francisco, for answering this first one.
Sorry, but design, in my opinion, the way I understand design, it not will change. I mean, the parameters are different, but the balance is the same. The way of thinking must be the same.
What about the way people live in their homes? Do you think that's gonna change? Maybe people now, I mean, before people used to spend maybe evening, night, and
but that is great. I mean, the people are discovering if they have a garden, I was shocked because the other day I was in a conference. I said, I discovered the birds in my garden. Personally, I love to go to my garden to work with my plants, but for always. It's good if this thing make the people understand that it's good, it's necessary. You understand? From one moment to the other, the people realize that they have a house. So that's why the design world is not that in crisis, because many people in the house environment are selling things because the people want to live well, not to do sport in the house. No. So at the end, I don't think at the end, if we manage to go through, of course, there will be a lot of suffering. There will be a lot of people. Unfortunately, we don't have any more here, and you can see many great designers that were old are not already with us because of this thing. So it's awful. I'm not saying that it's not, but I hope that when we pass through, we will have maybe a better, not a better world, maybe better people.
Okay. Thanks, Francisco. There's another one from Matej Stefanac. He says, I'm a designer and I'm thinking of starting my own brand, but I am hesitating because running a business is completely different than only designing. What would be your advice with transitioning from just being a designer to running a brand like for the Utopia chair? What is more satisfying in your opinion?
It's completely different, really. Depends of many things. In this case, I have not other opportunity. I mean, there was not another way to do it because in Salta, where I don't have the possibility to do the things that I want to do in that contest. If you have a contest where the industry accepts what you are thinking, could use it. I mean, it's much more powerful, the connection with the designer and a company. You will have interaction. You will have a partner to fight with or to play with, and that will enrich you always, for sure. If you don't have that choice, for example, in the north of Argentina, as I say, there is no choice, my friend, and you will need to fight against everything alone, and could enrich you a lot. Could be very nice too, but it's much more complex in different ways. So the quantity of energy is suddenly explode in different directions. So it's very, very complex.
When I was at the university, maybe I can share a little story about this topic. When I was at the university, a professor of mine was an extremely talented designer. I'm sure you know about him. Is Davide Groppi. He has a lighting company. And we were asking him, it was like the late 90s, we were asking him exactly the same question. So you used to be a designer, but then you wanted to establish your own company. And he was answering, okay, yes, now, you know, in throughout 1 year, the time I design is just 1 day. Mm-hmm. All the other days, I just run the company. Mm-hmm. But I can do whatever I want because I can bring to the market my ideas without compromise. And that's the most important thing for me.
Yes, it's exactly like this. You need to have compromises. When you work with companies, sometimes are positive, sometimes are not. So you have somehow much more freedoms, even with limitations, in a contest where you can do everything. Depends. If I have to decide what to do, I really prefer a company that's with talented people working inside, that married your ideas, that work with your ideas, and where you can generate a positive partnership is much more powerful, for sure. It's different.
The reach is much broader, maybe also.
Also.
Okay, there is another question. Everybody is really excited about your presence here, so I will go on until Cecilia stops us and tell us that we need to go for dinner. But Alejandro Xia, I hope I pronounce your name well, Alejandro. In that same note of responsibility, do you think designers need to change the way we interact with physical objects and space? I'm not exactly sure I understood right, but maybe it can instill some ideas in your mind, Francisco.
No, capito. I didn't understand.
Do you think, in other words, do you think that designers should be responsible to change the way we interact with physical objects and spaces? Meaning, today we do not interact well, and designers can make this change, something like that.
For sure, the designers have the responsibility what they do. They design. Sometimes that object can change the way the people interact with other people, with other. Let's say, for sure, it's part of our responsibility. You are trying to, depending what you are trying to do, how you want to help them to interact in one way or another one. For example, now it's very difficult to help the people interact together in situations that they cannot touch each other, and they only can see through a glass or something like that. Yes, I don't understand perfectly the question. For sure, we have responsibility about everything we do. For sure, it's very difficult. It's very difficult to understand then the result of what you think that could produce a result in one way or another one. But at least you try to do the good, no? Try to do
your best.
The best.
Okay. Another
for good.
Another question from Rodrigo Nenciares. Hola, Francisco. What would you say to Latin students arriving at Domus Academy that they should do related to exposure and looking for, of course, professional opportunities?
I will not say it only for Latin students.
For any
for
student,
everyone. Let's say, accept the fact that if you love to do this thing, is really difficult. I don't want to be pessimist. It's almost impossible. But at the end, maybe you can do it. No, I don't know if this summarizes everything. It's very difficult because there are not that many quantity of opportunities. There are many designers. So it's not an easy, like every creative profession. Monetize your creativity is not something easy. If you go to music, it's the same. If you go to like an artist, it's the same. So it's not easy. The advice I can give, to be current with your beliefs, really be current. Try to do contests. I designed many I worked for many contests when I was a student. Do exhibitions. Show what you believe on, what you see, how you see design. That is the only way that I know how to do it. Now the times are different, so you can communicate through Instagram. There are ways to show what you do. Maybe you can convince someone that what you do is useful and interesting. That is my advice. And put your passion on it. Is really you really need to give 24 hours to this.
All your time and energy.
To energy. I try to have a very equilibrated life. It's not that, but at the beginning it really worked hard, but really hard. That I remember.
You never sleep.
No, I know. I was going to sleep very late all day.
I remember that. There was a good friend of us at the time, and we used to be in touch.
Oh,
and we
Juan Jose.
Juan Jose, our great friend,
yes. Unfortunately, he's not with us.
Unfortunately, he's not with us anymore. But I remember the early 2000s, like 3 days in a row.
Yes, all the time. Yes, give your life to this thing.
That's.
If you want to have maybe the opportunity, but this, I'm sure that if you put your everything you have, this is not a job that you can do like a
employee
let's say,
job.
like an employee job. If you go to a company and you work like an employee, maybe you can manage and to live like that. I'm not saying like that, but if you want to do your profit from like your activity from this profession, a personal thing, is something that you really need to put a lot of energy.
Okay, and then last one, and then there is just a cheer, but I will ask you this difficult one first. I heard a statement from Manuel Alejandro Torres Monroy from Mexico. He used to be a student of mine, so I really remember you, Manuel. Welcome back. I'm happy that you are with us today. He wrote, I heard a statement from a younger generation saying that industrial design is dead. What do you think about this?
I simply don't agree. I simply don't agree. Let's say I don't like boxes, no? So industrial design, what is industrial? Utopia is industrial design or it is not. Let's say the mentality, the philosophy that is behind industrial design, I think is much more actual than never before. That I really do believe that.
Okay, another one then. Hi, Francisco, I really appreciate your work. It's a pleasure to study in your same school. I am a student in service design, but coming from product design. I did a lot of projects during my studies, but everyone never came to life. No one ever came to life. So I would like, this is not easy. I would like to ask you, how is the first step in the production process? So how can you break out from being a student to being someone that brings
that's
finally
$1 million
first
question.
product, first product to the market?
I just can say you that the first time I managed to do it, I cry of happiness. if that explains you how difficult it is.
I think so. I think so.
It's not easy because a company needs to invest the money in what you believe, in what you are saying. And if that thing has a little bit of innovation, it's much more complex always. So as I said before, maybe trying to show what you think in the right way through contests, through exhibitions, help you to put in contact with someone. No, sometimes it's a matter of a little bit of lucky to find the right person in the right situation. And if that doesn't help you, just do it your own.
Yeah.
I remember one of my first projects that I want to express what I have to say. I did Apero. I didn't have a company in the back of me. It was like a small showroom here in Milan that allowed me to invest a little bit in this prototype, and then I worked with craftsmanships of Argentina doing this chaise longue.
Yes,
sometimes you need to do it yourself, and there are no one waiting for you to let you show your things. That is your opportunity. That is your problem. That is my problem. So the system is always closed because of the nature of the system. The system is done and is working already without you, me, no one. So is your responsibility to somehow show that you could be fit somehow there and be part of it.
Fantastic. Thank you, Francisco. Last sentence that we can get from the audience. There is Nicole Rivera Ocasio. Maybe you know her. She writes, nice to see Francisco. He served as mentor and panelist many times during my iDesign, interaction design master with the epic Claudio Moderini. Maybe Claudio is with us tonight, I don't know. Thank you for bringing back so many great memories. Okay, so, all right, Francisco, it's been really great listening to you going through your journey from Domus and your two Compasso d'Oro and understanding your mindset and philosophy. So I think we can call it a day, and we can again cheer with a nice Italian
Beer.
beer. I have a Moretti, you have Ignusa, so
Ignusa, yeah.
it's both Italian. And nothing. Cecilia, back to you.
Yes, again, thank you, Francisco, for being here with us today. It was a really pleasure, and I'm honored to introduce you at the beginning and to have you here with us back in Domus Academy after all these many years and stories and experience that you had. It was really interesting and I think also inspiring for all our students and also recent alumni, and for me as well as a Domus Academy let's say staff, and it's super interesting to know all your stories and experiences, and I hope that there will be the chance to see you back in Domus Academy in the future again.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. It was a pleasure. Thank you, Paolo. It's always an opportunity for me to it's very nice for me sometimes to think about design, to speak with friends, and I always Domus was like my house, you know. So it's a pleasure for me to be in here with you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
again.
Paolo. Again.
Thank you. Was a pleasure. Was a pleasure. With a good friend like Francisco, everything is easy. Everything.
Ciao.
He's so smart. I don't have to. I just have to ask little things, and then he goes. Bravissimo, Francisco. Grazie.
Piacere, grazie a voi.
Let's meet soon for a real beer.
Okay, hope after it. Yes, I don't know when we'll be able to do it.
Before Christmas. Let's hope before Christmas. Okay.
Ciao.
Grazie.